One of the biggest things in life is the opportunity to travel and visit different parts of the world. It offers you the chance to explore different cultures, enjoy the beauty of nature, and to try some new food. Yes, you definitely have to try all the local cuisine. However, another underrated benefit of traveling is that it also provides an opportunity for you to witness the different traditions that take place in other parts of the world. The issue, of course, is that a lot of us tend to remain confined to our part of the world and never really get the chance to explore. So when we hear about some of these traditions, they may seem just made up or outlandish. For instance, did you know there are currently tribes in South America where people will literally eat their dead? It's insane to think about, but it's absolutely true. And this is just one tribe somewhere. You ever imagined what other weird things that some other people do? Well, imagine no longer, because in this video, you're going to join us as we look at 15 of the strangest and most mind-boggling customs and traditions still being practiced today. Number 15. The Basha Miao haircut. If you're a guy, you probably understand the need to get a haircut. Some of us get haircuts more frequently than others, but every once in a while, you have to go to a salon or a stylist to get a trim. While haircuts are pretty common in this part of the world, they do take a bit of a risky turn for men in a village that's located in China. Basha Miao is a relatively secluded village where men walk around carrying knives and muskets and where they wear their hair in the form of buns. The people of this village have been living this way for thousands of years, protecting their ancestral lands the only way that they can see fit. They're known as China's last tribe of gunmen, or the living terracotta warriors, and they have a pretty solid sense of tradition. Also, the people of this village have a special tradition where the men have their hair cut in quite a dangerous manner. Instead of using scissors or clippers, adult men will get their hair cut by the way of a literal sickle. That's right, there's no soap, no water, and no lather. All you have between you and the sickle's sharp edge is the expert guidance of the one who wields it. The barber uses an incredibly sharp sickle to cut the person's hair and then styles it into a bun. Yeah, so good luck getting me into that type of barbershop. Besides the strange haircut routine, the people also have some other traditions. For instance, they also worship trees, and it is actually forbidden to damage or even cut down an ancient tree within the village. They also plant a tree whenever a baby is born, and each person's tree is then used to make their coffin when they die. Number 14. Myanmar's Podwang women. Still in Asia, we'll take a trip now to the southeast region of the continent, particularly the border that exists between Myanmar and Thailand. Here, we get to meet a tribe called the Kayan people. Also known for being relatively secluded, it's no wonder that these people are really big on culture. However, the strange tradition for them is seen with their women. That's because they have quite the strange fashion choice indeed. From the moment that they're little, these women are made to wear golden coils around their necks. These rings, known as wangs, can be several inches tall, and they essentially stretch the wearer's neck so much more longer over their lifetime. As said before, the process of wearing the gold collar starts when the woman is no more than a little girl. At that age, her bones are flexible, and it's much easier for the coils to be fastened to her neck. Interestingly, girls need to go back every few years to have more coils fastened on, meaning that they essentially wear them for life. But there's actually quite the trick in all of this, because the coils, well, they don't actually make the woman's neck any longer. It's actually just an illusion. Wearing something that's almost 5 pounds on your neck for the rest of your life?
Oh my god, this is like at least 5 pounds.
I thought that fur coats were a stressful fashion choice. Number 13. English cheese rolling. England is one of the oldest empires and kingdoms in the world, and rightfully so. They have some of the weirdest traditions as well. One of the most interesting, however, is the Cooper's Hill cheese rolling and wake. This is an annual event that takes place in the town of Gloucestershire, England. The Cooper's Hill cheese rolling and wake is quite an interesting activity. One day every spring, hundreds of people gather at the town's popular Cooper's Hill and literally roll a single wheel of Gloucestershire cheese down the hill. Then, everyone takes turns rolling down the hill in order to chase after it. The first person to cross the finish line, or to catch the cheese, is eventually declared the winner, but considering that the cheese wheels can achieve top speeds of around 70 miles per hour, all while rolling down the hill, catching them is almost impossible. And so, most people simply go for the competition so that they can have fun rolling down the hill. And trust me, it's as silly as it sounds, and even more silly to watch. The first recorded tournament would be held in 1837, but there doesn't seem to be much significance to it. As one food historian would put it, the British just love their quirky and dangerous traditions. If you ever find yourself in England, this is definitely one activity I would recommend that you try. Forget Wimbledon or Royal Ascot, this is the real England. Number 12. Cinnamon showers. Have you heard of the famous champagne showers? Well, how about a good old cinnamon bath to make you feel even more gross? These days, being single is not necessarily seen as a reason for jest. In fact, considering the state of the economy, I think it's safe to say that some of us might just want to be single so that we can avoid the bills. But this doesn't mean that your friends cannot tease you every once in a while for being a single Pringle. In Denmark, however, the people take things just a little too far, quite literally. According to some reports, when you turn 25 in Denmark and you're still unmarried, it's customary for your friends and family to capture you, tie you down, and then bathe you in cinnamon. It gets even worse though. Some of your friends could decide to get super mean and tie you to a pole and then bathe you in water or alcohol before proceeding to pelt you with the spice. I mean, just look at this poor fellow. Now I'm just saying, if you pull this prank on me, it will be absolutely on. According to locals, the tradition dates back centuries ago when spice salesmen would have to travel a lot and never really get to settle down to be married or begin a family. So when you turn 25, it's assumed that you're about to go the way of the old-timey spicy people. Imagine how much spice farmers and salespeople would make in this industry. Number 11. The Monkey Buffet Festival. Did you know that there is a certain portion of the population that believes that people have descended from apes? Some biologists pretty much think that monkeys are like our distant cousins or siblings. And if that is the case, then it might be nice to bring them into the fold and use them for some weird traditions as well. The people in Thailand seem to have that idea down pat. Every year they organize a huge festival to honor apes in an interesting way. At the Phra Prang Sam Yot Temple in Thailand, citizens and visitors are entertained by the Monkey Buffet Festival, an annual celebration where people gather around and create huge banquets for monkeys. The festival usually begins with a whole lot of merriment and fanfare, which includes dancing, singing, and performances by a whole lot of different people. However, the culmination of it all is the banquet itself. Locals bring out a massive tarpaulin, placing different types of fruits, vegetables, and treats upon it, and then thousands of macaque monkeys are literally let loose, allowed to come in there and eat to their full.
This festival was happening while we were here, we had to come.
According to legend, a Thai deity named Rama was tasked with rescuing his wife Sita from a demon. Rama was able to get this done thanks to the help from a monkey king, and then both of them became close friends and even helped each other to build the local province. So the festival is essentially a tribute to the friendship between those species. It's pretty cool if you think about it for a moment. Number 10. Camel wrestling. Still on weird animal-based traditions, we'll say hello now to camel wrestling, an activity which, for some reason, the people of Turkey just love to do and have even classified as a sport. But allow me to get a few things straight. The people of Turkey love to use camels as wrestlers? I'm sure there's an animal-based zinger in there somewhere. Camel wrestling is in fact real, and to be fair, it looks pretty awesome.
Boyunlarıyla, işte kollarıyla yani ön ayaklarıyla, başlarıyla, bacaklarıyla.
The people literally look for male camels that are in heat, which is easy to find since camels themselves grind their teeth together and begin to foam at the mouth. Then they bring the two of them into a ring and force them into battle. The victorious camel finally gets to fulfill his desires as the people preserve a female camel that is also in heat just for him. You know, just like in the good old days. The camel wrestling tradition dates back centuries and has only gotten more popular ever since. In fact, the sport became so popular that in 1920, the Turkish government literally used it to raise funds. Number 9. Chinese foot binding. Now, before I get into this one, I think that it goes without saying that you should never try this at home. In fact, don't even think about it. Although the practice has now been banned, the act of foot binding is truly one of the strangest and most irksome things to happen to humans. It dates back to the 10th century, when Chinese women with small feet were seen as being the most beautiful and desirable in all of the land. So, to maintain the beauty of their female children, parents would literally wrap their legs tightly to ensure that their feet conform to a certain shape. For hundreds of years, millions of Chinese girls were subjected to the strange custom. Many were told they would never marry if their feet weren't bound and made to look dainty, while others were simply coerced by their parents and society to take on the activity. Each young girl was pretty much forced to learn how to walk again, releasing the activity from a strange position and through excruciating pain. And over time, many of the girls actually developed significant physical defects as a result. While foot binding is no longer practiced, many old women who were subjected to the tradition are still alive today, and their stories are simply heartbreaking. It goes without saying, but you simply cannot imagine how terrible that must feel. Number 8. The World Gurning Championships. For the next video, we're returning to England, because of course this is where seemingly all the weird stuff takes place. The country plays home to the World Gurning Championship, also known as the world's ugliest sport. The World Gurning Championship takes place at the Egremont Crab Fair, a traditional sporting extravaganza that's held in the town of Cumbria, dating all the way back to the 12th century. At the competition, the objective is simple, really. Each participant needs to squeeze their face as much as they possibly can while wearing a horse collar. Some locals claim that the championship began in the Middle Ages when townsfolk would put a horse collar around the neck of the town jester and then goad him into making silly faces in exchange for pints of ale. For reasons only best known to the British, this activity caught on, and they've pretty much been reenacting it ever since. Although instead of the booze, winners now get to enjoy different other prizes. The most famous star of this sport is Tommy Mattinson, who has won the competition at least 16 times. He's like the Lionel Messi or Serena Williams of making an ugly face. Number 7. Land diving. Different cultures have different customs that pretty much show when a boy is becoming a man. However, some customs definitely take things a bit too far. One such custom is the land diving tradition of a certain tribe on the Pentecost Island. Every year, the elders of the community there organize a tradition where young boys and men quite literally will risk their necks to gain favor from the gods. But what do these young men have to do? Well, they essentially climb a 100-foot tower that is made out of nothing but wood. 2 slim vines are then tied to their feet, and the men have to jump down. It's essentially bungee jumping, but without nearly as many safety protocols. The origins of this activity date back hundreds of years, and they're actually rooted in the belief in spirits and human sacrifices. Today, the rituals are held primarily every April and May.
My father died, and I took his place.
Local men volunteer to dive, risking injury and possible death just to appease the gods. Whatever floats their boat, I suppose. Number 6. Teeth chiseling. You all know how important that your teeth are. You use them to chew food, to bite into things, and generally complement your looks. However, for the Mentawa people of Indonesia, teeth are meant for more than just serving as objects of feeding. Back in the day, these people used to mandate that women would chisel their teeth and file them in order to make them look more pointy. For some reason, this was thought to be the beauty standards back then. Besides the fact that pointy teeth reportedly look more attractive, the women of the tribe also had to chisel their teeth because they believed that the activity held spiritual significance. According to folklore, a woman who chisels her teeth will have better luck in keeping a husband. Even more crazy than that is the fact that the procedure is done without any form of anesthesia.
Now that my teeth are sharp, I look more beautiful for my husband, so he won't leave me.
Again, the activity is no longer mandated by the people. However, there are still many young ladies within the tribe that believe that this strange beauty standard exists, and who would willingly sign up for it. Others tend to be pressured by their husbands and other tribespeople, and they also succumb to it and submit their teeth to becoming filed. Count me out of this one, because I like my teeth just fine the way that they are. Number 5. Wedding tears. Remember when I talked about how the Danes poke fun at single people just because they can't find a partner? Well, for the Tujia people of China, the ridicule actually comes in the lead up to the wedding. And as you would expect, they have some crazy customs as well. Normally, your wedding is expected to be one of the happiest days of your life. There would be singing and eating and making merry, along with a lot of dancing and fun. And if the time does come for you to shed a tear or two, they would most likely be tears of joy and hope. Well, for the Tujia people, this is not the case. These people mandate that a woman has to cry for about a month in the lead up to her wedding. Women literally have to shed tears every single night for an entire month. Every night, once it becomes dark, the woman has to walk around and is required to sob uncontrollably for up to an hour. After 10 days, her mother then joins in on the tradition, also shedding her own tears. And if the grandmother is still alive, then old Granny has to join in on the fun after another 10 days have passed. This giant fake pity party isn't just limited to the 3 ladies, however. The sisters, the aunts, and any other female relatives of the bride are also required to shed their own tears, with the tradition allegedly symbolizing the bride's sadness about having to leave her family. This custom used to be so important that the brides-to-be who did not cry were judged as having no home training. And in some situations, a bride who chooses not to cry could actually be beaten by her mother at the wedding ceremony. No pressure there, you know. Number 4. Battle of Oranges. In most parts of the world, food-based traditions are always a lot of fun. However, while the Thai people allow their monkeys to enjoy banquets, the people of an Italian town take a more hands-on approach to their festivals. And none of those is represented quite like the Battle of the Oranges. Known as Italy's craziest festival, the Battle of the Oranges takes place in Ivrea, a town in Rome. While Ivrea is a relatively peaceful and tranquil city, once a year it becomes a raucous landscape where thousands of people come together to pelt each other with literal oranges. The Battle of the Oranges dates back to the medieval times and is said to mark the day when the people of the town were liberated from the rule of a terrible duke. According to the legend, a local girl named Violetta cut off the duke's head one night when he tried to claim his right to sleep with her. Following the duke's death, the townsfolk then rose up in revolt and decided to storm his castle. Essentially, the battle now represents the struggle between the duke's supporters and the ordinary people many centuries ago. However, instead of using swords and spears, the people slug it out with oranges. Every year, a married woman is chosen to represent Violetta, and the people are broken into 9 teams, all of which either represent the commoners or the royalty. With everyone dressed in their battle attire, they then go to town on each other. The battle essentially rages on for up to 3 days, with everyone pelting their opposition. It's a messy business for sure, although at the end of the battle, everyone has the chance to enjoy stories and suck on some oranges. You know, if they don't get injured during the fracas.
How did that hit me in the knee? Look at this guy. We're going in with him. Come on!
Number 3. The Crocodile Men. In certain cultures, little boys need to have events that symbolize their maturity and final ascent into adulthood. While most of us in the Western world pretty much see puberty as the beginning of manhood, not every culture sees it that way. For the people of the Sepik region of Papua New Guinea, being a man actually requires a significant physical sacrifice and a show of strength and endurance. Still though, you would think that these guys would be fine with just brawling or doing some push-ups, or even engaging in other testosterone-fueled activities, but no, instead, they literally have to subject their bodies to being cut. The entire tradition is based on the belief that men evolved from crocodiles that lived within the river years ago. So it's essentially a means of paying tribute to their reptile ancestors. These men, who will range in ages from 11 until about their mid-30s, are locked away inside of huts known as spirit houses for around 6 weeks. During that period, they're literally marked with the sign of the crocodile. Their shoulders, backs, and upper torsos are cut with razor blades, forming welts on their bodies that they then carry on for life. During the ceremony, bamboo slivers and blades are used to make the incisions. Each participant is completely held down while an older man makes one cut after another across the upper body. And just like the Indonesians who file their teeth of the women, the men here are subjected to this excruciating procedure without any form of pain relief. The procedure is so painful that a lot of boys will literally pass out during the ceremony, and if you think that stops the elders, well, you've got another thing coming. Following the procedure, the men are made to lie close to a fire. The smoke from the fire blows into the scars, while tree oil and clay are then applied to the skin and cause it to rise. Number 2. Burial of the Sardine. The Spaniards are known for several things: wine, their sexy accent, and an interesting festival known as the Burial of the Sardine. The Burial of the Sardine is a ceremony that marks the end of carnival and other festivities. It generally consists of a carnival parade that acts as a parody of a funeral procession, culminating in the burning of a large and fake fish. The people essentially just bury the fish, complete with fake mourning and the whole 9 yards. Usually celebrated on Ash Wednesday, the Burial of the Sardine has had a contested history. Some believe that it dates back to the rule of King Carlos III, who donated a shipload of sardines to his servants in the 18th century, just before the beginning of Lent. However, others believe that the event originated from a group of students who met together in the 19th century and then held a satirical funeral march for the fish, symbolizing their fast before Lent. Whatever it may be, it just seems like the festival's origins have a Lent-based link. Number 1. Meal of the Dead. In terms of strange traditions, I would definitely save the best for last. And trust me, it's one that's definitely creepy. Hidden deep within the Amazon forest, and primarily between Venezuela and Brazil, are the Yanomami, an indigenous tribe that has become quite secluded from the outside world. Like every tribe, the Yanomami have their own weird customs and traditions. However, especially weird about these people is the practice of endocannibalism. These people literally eat themselves. In what will definitely be the strangest burial ritual, the Yanomami people take their recently deceased members and then burn them. But of course, burning your dead is not out of the ordinary. What they do, however, is then take these burnt remains and turn them into powder. Some people will use this powder to cover themselves as a means of mourning, while others actually mix it with a banana smoothie. Then everyone in the village comes together and drinks it all up. Even more weird, they literally sing and cry to express their grief, all while feasting upon the dead body stew. According to some reports, the Yanomami people believe that drinking and eating their dead is the only way for the deceased to find peace and protection as they make their way into the afterlife. They could just try burying the bodies carefully and saying a prayer, but really, who am I to judge? It's truly the weirdest thing in the world, and I wouldn't even let a sweaty person touch me. How on earth would you think that I'd like to eat and drink someone else's friggin' ashes? If there's anything that these videos have shown, it's that the world that we live in is truly strange and unique. From the unharmful to the mildly annoying to just straight up creepy, a lot of cultures across the planet definitely do have their beliefs, even though they may sound strange to us. But what do you think? Did I leave anything out? Be sure to let me know all about it in the comments section down below.